Good afternoon. Hey, a few people have had their cookies, getting their energy back up. Welcome to our quarterly all-employee meeting. I have a few of my Monday morning leadership participants in the room, so we're going to start on time and end on time. I wanted to kick off today's meeting publicly recognizing, or maybe humiliating, depending on who you are, those who are involved with Employee Appreciation Week this year. So if you are on the Funky Bunch or your name is Allison Walsh, please stand. And thank you very, very, very much for a great Employee Appreciation Week. So these were some of the thank you cards that were in the back of the hallway a couple weeks ago when we had the special week, and I wanted to read something that a resident wrote, and I'm not sure who wrote it, and maybe we'll have a gathering on who we think wrote it. Ode to Riverwoods Crew. In the hearts of Riverwoods, where golden years unfold, a shout out to a team more precious than gold. Housekeeping heroes, with mops and with glee, you battle the dusk, making chaos to flee. In the dining hall where the culinary dreams spin, kudos to chefs making pureed seem like sin. Nursing superheroes with pills and with potions, you cure our ailments with magical notions. Social services, the heart and the soul, planning activities that make us feel whole. Maintenance musicians fixing each nook, you keep things running like a well-read book. Administration aces, paperwork kings, turning chaos into organized things. To all at Riverwoods, a heartfelt cheer for making our golden years full of good cheer. With kindness and thoughtfulness, you light up the days, turning retirement into a laugh-filled maze. So here's to the team, each role they play, thanks to making Riverwoods feel like home every day. So I thought that was impressive enough to share. That person should probably write a book and more poems. We're going to go through a couple of things today. First and foremost are the employee satisfaction survey results. Then we're going to have some general community updates. Wendy Gilday is going to share a Funky Bunch committee update. So what's the latest and greatest on community engagement as a team? And then Wade from IT is here, and he'll give an update on RiverNet. And lastly, you're going to find out why we're in tables and chairs today instead of rows that we're typically in theater style. Now let the suspense sink in. I'd like to invite John Bowe to the stage, the Vice President of the Riverwoods Group, Vice President of HR for the Riverwoods Group, who's going to go over the satisfaction survey results with me today.
Go this side. Is my mic on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So some highlights from the survey. It's an online survey done through SurveyMonkey, so those of you who took it know that. We had a system-wide 570 respondents who actually went on and took the survey, which is 60% of our system-wide workforce, which is a great turnout, and I'm really happy that people took the time to do this. But the even better news is that here in Durham, 141 people participated in the survey, which is 64% of the workforce, so better than average, up from 87 last year and 40%. So if you guys don't tell us what you want, we don't know what you want, so thank you for participating. It's an anonymous survey, you don't have to put your name in there, and then we break down the results by community, which is why we're here today to present the Riverwoods Durham results. And then there's a partnership between HR and between the executive director, in this case Natalie, on what we're going to do going forward to sort of help with some of the things that were brought up in the survey. And then we present the results in an all-employee meeting. That's why we're here today.
As John mentioned, we had a 26% increase in participation, so thank you all. We did come in second place overall, so we'll be number one next year, I'm sure of it. But I want to go through just a couple of highlights of improvements since last year's survey. We've certainly progressed in our onboarding and orientation. We've had additional training opportunities made available to all of you. The communication from myself, as well as each individual department leadership and the Riverwoods group, has improved. We have our weekly connections with Newfound specifically. They send out a team update. We have the community connection that goes out every Friday, which is resident-based, but I think a lot of you enjoy reading through what's going on in the community. What suggestions do residents have? And sometimes they're to benefit all of you as well. We have RiverNet, the mobile version available of multiple applications, RiverNet, Outlook, and Teams based on your requests. And also many of these applications, if not all, are available on the WOWs for our clinical team. We have these great meetings that I know you all love. And we also have team meetings by discipline specifically in Newfound for our clinical team, asked and you received. We listened to your comments. Again, as John mentioned, we don't know what we don't know, so share your feedback with us. And we also had the incorporation of the appreciation survey, so really understanding what does appreciation mean to each of you. I want to be able to recognize Allison, although I think I just embarrassed her in the opposite way, but really to truly show people appreciation based on, do they love hugs or do they hate hugs? Do you like a candy bar or do you want public recognition, for example? Now we're going to go through the survey results. Stoplight report, this is typically how we report it here. Needs work, could be better, doing great. First, John's going to go through the system-wide highlights, and then I'm going to dive deep into Durham specifically.
So with the added number of people who have participated, it means the information we get, it becomes more and more valid. So what we do is we look at the results, and then we can also compare back to what it was like last year. But areas that we feel that we're doing strong because of the feedback you gave us, first and foremost is our core values. 99% of the participants say that they related to our core values, which is phenomenal. 95% of you all think that the work that you do is impactful. And people should feel that way working in an organization like this because we're here making somebody else's lives better. Work-life balance, 88%. So let me explain the favorability ratings here for you. When we asked questions, we said, do you strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree? These numbers are the total of strongly agree plus agree. So that's called the favorability rating. So we have, for work-life balance, we have an 88% favorability rating, which is great. It means that people feel like they are able to have a life outside of Riverwoods. And this one I love, 86% of employees say that they would recommend Riverwoods as an employer to others. So that means that we're doing some good things that for the most part, people like being here. We also scored high in relationship management. Positive resident interactions is at 95% favorable, and positive coworker interactions at 94% favorable. So what does that say? It says you guys like working with each other. You like being here for the residents. And then for inclusion, 88% favorability that Riverwoods is committed to a diverse workforce. So we put efforts into making sure that we can do everything that we can to have a diverse workforce. And with the good comes the bad. So what are some areas that we need to focus on based upon what we heard from you? First and foremost, top of the list was health insurance. We're going to try to delve into it a little bit more and find out exactly what about the health insurance, but we renew our plan on July 1st, and we're going to look at making some changes that will be advantageous to the employee for that renewal. I don't know what those are yet. We do have a brainstorm session between Human Resources and our insurance brokers that is scheduled for March 19th, and we're just going to brainstorm and we're going to pick the brains of our brokers and say, what are other companies doing that's working well? The mobile app of the intranet came out at 47%. Wade's here, and he's going to talk about that later in the meeting. And then career development, opportunity for growth at 58%. At first, that really surprised me. I thought, wow, we do a really good job here with training and development. But then as I started to think about it more, I think that maybe it's that the opportunities for positions to go to might not be there. If you work in a big department, you know, what's the next step up? So we're going to take a deeper dive into that and figure out how we can help that position as well. And management feedback, 54%, that's something that we all strive for every day. But you'll see later on that, that communication from management is much better than it was last year. I'm not going to read through all of this for you. Promise you, I'm not going to read through all of it, but it tells a story. It's our 2023 results versus the 2022 results, and this is for questions that were repeated on both, because some of the questions were different. But I'm just going to pull out a couple. The second one, my executive director communicates upcoming community-wide changes in a clear and timely manner. Last year, that was 49.6%, and this is system-wide, so it's all the executive directors. This year, it's 83.4%. It's 33% higher than last year. So, Natalie. I feel like the training I've participated in has positively impacted my work. You know, we do spend a lot of time on training and development. We have Ellen, who most of you have probably met, Ellen Griffin, who puts together these training programs and comes to all of the communities, and it's great to get that feedback that it's worth it all. I'm proud to work for Riverwoods, up from 59% to 89%. A 30% increase. People are proud to work here. Fantastic. We're doing something right. And I think meetings today, like today, are exactly why people like working here, because we're listening to you. And we make changes, and we have in the past 2 years made changes based upon the survey. And then we'll go, there is one question that came out less, and I feel I have the opportunity for professional growth within the company, and that's what really made me start thinking about that question earlier, is that we have to create more opportunities for people. Not so much train, because we get the training out there, but we have to see what we can do to create more opportunities for you. Then we asked, we put down a list of different benefits and asked people, you know, hey, would you like to see this benefit? Is this important to you? And we had two that clearly jumped to the top. The first one is a Riverwoods apparel allowance. Very, very high on the list. And the biggest one was the possibility of a 4-day work week. So there's a brainstorm session that's set up within the next couple of weeks that's including Justine and Kevin, our CFO, and Kim and myself, and we're going to be talking about how can we make that work. A lot of companies offer a 4-day work week, and not everybody wants it, so not everybody has to take it, but if we can get it in place so that those people who want to take advantage of it can, great. There's no promises, but we're going to try really hard to get it because that's what you're telling us you want. And then we have child care assistance, dementia caregiver assistance, adoption assistance, pet insurance. Those all rank kind of in the middle. Paid maternity and paternity leave, that's something we're looking very seriously at improving. Mental well-being counseling and financial well-being classes. That's the financial classes, people are saying that they would like to learn more about financing and budgeting and things like that. We're going to get that in place for sure.
I believe Felicia has started her series at Riverwoods Manchester, so I'm sure we're next to roll that out here for Budgeting 101. Be looking for that in Ellen's training catalog on RiverNet. So what's going well? What's green at Riverwoods Durham? A lot of this, you'll see themes across the board, relationship management, all of those questions scored 80 or above. I've bolded in my next slides here ones that were above 90 specifically too. So you have good working relationships with one another. You care for one another. Feel like you have a friend at work. Residents and coworkers treat you with respect. We have work-life balance, and although it was high, I would argue that we have a better opportunity to keep talking about how we can be better about that. You would recommend Riverwoods as an employer, which, by the way, Blake is here today in case you have any friends who are interested in open positions. I'll take my $5 later, Blake, thank you.
Referral bonuses.
You're proud to work for Riverwoods. The next category was work environment. The culture at Riverwoods was scored very high here. Your work, you feel as though it positively impacts people's lives, because it does. You're personally connected to Riverwoods' core values. Your interactions with residents, the top 2 words you used were appreciated and respected. You have overall positive interactions with residents. This next slide, I made my first ever word cloud on my own. Lauren was very impressed. But I wanted to highlight some of the commonalities through this. Fun, caring, passionate, friendly, open, supportive, accepting, teamwork. The next category, communication, which I also feel is always an opportunity, was at 92% at the community level, communication from me, 82% at leadership by department, and 86% at the Riverwoods Group level. And you also know who to contact for employee benefits. Angela is here somewhere, so you certainly know when to contact her and where her office is. And as John mentioned, like anything, we also have areas of improvement that we're focused on and dedicated to. For DERM specifically, we have 6 categories. The bolded notes here are things that scored below 70. Okay, so things that I'm really drilling down on within these categories. Timeliness of reviews, incredibly important. That is your manager prioritizing you when your hire date comes around to talk about the progress that you've made the entire year. But I would also say that progress discussions should be made regularly with you, whether that's at team meetings, one-to-one meetings, or other, but you should be having continual conversations about your performance with your manager. With the new ADP performance management, I'm actually able to track that. I get notifications when they're late. I have about 12 in my queue right now. That will not continue. My managers and directors are going to make sure that those get done on time because I know how important it is to you all. Career development, the opportunity for professional growth, as John mentioned, encouragement of professional development, progress discussions, all incredibly important. I'd like to quickly share my story. I don't typically do this, but just so you all know, if you don't, I started in dining at Hillcrest Terrace, which is now Riverwoods Manchester, 14 years ago, as a supportive living dining room server, and have worked my way through multiple departments. And it all started with a internship, which was unpaid, that I was happy to do because look where I am today. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in learning something new, different, or more, have that conversation with your manager because you never know where you could end up. So keep having those conversations. Work engagement, effective collaboration, and the ability to voice your opinion on areas that affect your work. And I would even argue this too, that even if it's not an area that affects your work, please speak up because your voice matters. So be sure to focus on that this year too. Benefits, again, as John mentioned, healthcare related benefits, but also ETO, overall compensation, and workplace flexibility. So I'm also in on that 4-day work week conversation and looking forward to sharing that with the team once we have it established, if we establish it.
Now, can I jump in for 1 second?
Please.
I just want to address the compensation question. We actually scored pretty high on that if you did it comparatively to other organizations. Like Natalie said, it's under 70%, but it's about 60%. But that means that more than half the people responded that they felt that their compensation was adequate. And we've worked real hard over the past couple of years to make wage adjustments throughout the organization to get people to the levels that we think they need to be at. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but because it's listed here as it needs attention, it does. But if we compare our results to other organizations, we're doing pretty well.
And your team is continuously looking at our wages.
Between Blake and I, not a week goes by that we're not looking at a specific job title and doing research to find out what that job pays out in the market.
I think that's important for the team to know. RiverNet, the intranet, that's another one we've already talked about, and inclusion, specifically comfortability discussing and displaying social and cultural beliefs was highlighted as an area of improvement. Additionally, we had some one thing questions. Not sure if anyone's read that book, but it's a good one. But I'm gonna go through some of the responses. Some of these are verbatim, so I just wanna tell you what the results were from those open-ended questions. So one thing that Riverwoods does now that we should stop doing, micromanaging and being non-responsive. Sending so many emails, focusing on extravagant spending, allowing resident preferences to dictate employees' duties, setting so many management meetings, focusing on the small things instead of aiming to address various issues, and overall improving the organizational effectiveness and employee satisfaction. Sending communication to the entire clinical leadership team when you should specifically be focusing on setting it by discipline. So again, There's probably 25 pages of open-ended responses between all of those questions. And so these are some things that I've pinpointed of areas where we can also drill down and focus. So while it wasn't scored a certain way, I hear you. One thing Riverwoods does do that we should do, doesn't do that we should do, excuse me. Notify the team when someone leaves the organization. Improve communication. Simplify online platforms and training requirements for better accessibility. Invest in necessary equipment and facilities for better service delivery. Plan initiatives with input from multiple departments. Provide more comprehensive dementia education. Conduct exit interviews and consider feedback impartially. Actively listen to feedback and implement changes accordingly. Ensure leadership follows up and offers support for well-being. Talked about that too, and additional benefits. Offer better and more food options for team members. Play some music throughout the community. Offer sick time versus ETO, and examine the shift schedule for the clinical team and support team for breaks. One thing I did want to note on here, the exit interviews are officially happening. And Angela and I are going to sit down and talk about some ways that we can share with you all if someone does leave the organization. From this one, so making progress already there. And I think we can make some music happen. Well, I'd love to hear some music around as well. One thing Riverwoods is doing that we should continue doing, generosity with appreciation and recognition, maintaining a supportive and caring environment for both staff and residents, making employees feel valued, keeping communication open and respectful between departments, announcing when a resident dies and holding a quilt ceremony, continuing to listen to employee feedback and concerns, offer training opportunities, holding employee meetings, cultivating a culture of seamless support between nursing staff and community staff. One community, one of my favorites. And employee shout out board and the good. People really enjoy that and they want to keep that going. So I would say this is all feedback we heard directly from you. If you want to dive deeper on any of this with us, please reach out and share your ideas. But these are additional items that came through in the open-ended comments that I definitely want to make sure that we're addressing. So, where are our areas of focus in HR and as the executive director? John, you want to go first?
Right, so from the HR standpoint, we really are talking system-wide. We talk about pay and benefits, and that's all system-wide, and that's what I'm covering. So benefits, compensation, and training and development, those things all initiate within the HR department at TRWG and get rolled out to the communities. So that's our area of focus. So the medical insurance I mentioned earlier, we renew our medical insurance on July 1st. We're going to have to be creative about what kind of improvements we can make there. A review of the entire benefits package. We do that on an ongoing basis. Targeted survey for feedback on RiverNet. Again, Wade's here to talk about RiverNet. Ongoing compensation market analysis, and that's what Natalie was referring to earlier. Blake and I are consistently getting requests from different managers or directors to say, hey, can you do a market analysis on this job? And continue to offer meaningful training and development programs. And I encourage everybody in here to take advantage of the training and development opportunities that are out there. Check the RiverNet, check it regularly because the training programs are always listed there. Find out when something's coming your way and sign up for them.
Okay, and my focus, I'll go back here, just timely, the buckets that I categorized, the top 3 things, and I did add a fourth, a bonus, but you'll see that later. Number 1, timeliness of reviews. 2, career development and team collaboration. So let's go into each one together. Obviously, continued connection with the managers and supervisors and directors of each department to truly understand the importance of timeliness of reviews. I know how much this means to the retention of our team members and how important that is, not only to me, but to the leadership team here at Riverwoods Durham. As I mentioned, there's reporting structure now available. We also get notifications. You get reminders too when it's due, so take some time to reflect too ahead of your review so that you can have a productive conversation with your manager when that time comes. Career development. Coaching and encouraging these ongoing conversations, as I previously mentioned, encourage one another to have these conversations too. Maybe you've sparked an interest in life engagement, for example. You really love seeing what they're doing, the way they care for our residents, and maybe you have an interest in that. Or maybe you love what Nicole does when she's housekeeping. I certainly do. I actually really enjoy cleaning. And so, might you look at shadowing housekeeping for a day? Have that discussion with your manager. The other thing when I see that note, and I mentioned this too when John initially showed the results of the system-wide highlights, what does career development or professional growth actually mean for you? Does that mean that you're learning more about maybe your specific job, or maybe you work at the front desk but you love quality and compliance? So what does that really mean for you? Or do you see yourself growing into becoming the executive director someday? And if you do, I'd love to have that conversation with you so that I can help you grow in different ways. So it may not always be growth tall, it might be growth wide. Engagement with the community, with your supervisors, but also with your coworkers. And we've highlighted it quite a few times here, but Ellen's catalog has really come a long way, and it's available to you through the RiverNet, and you can take those courses right at the back of house computers if you choose to when you're here. Number 3, team collaboration, accountability and recognition, work-life balance and support. Again, this is a lot of things you can work on with your manager, but also as a team. Community involvement and engagement. Obviously, teamwork is so incredibly important to everything we do every day. So team bonding exercises and training, communication and connection, having those regular team meetings, one-to-one meetings, resolving issues, addressing concerns, and my motto, and I might get this tattooed, is follow up and follow through. If you feel like your manager's not doing that, please reach out to me so that I can help coach them through how important that is. Policies and procedures, really reviewing and discussing what works and what doesn't work within your departments, and then let's see if we can make a change. And it might not just be a change in Durham, it could be a system-wide change that needs to be implemented. And then understanding each other's roles and responsibilities. I think this comes up every year. So we need to do a better job about talking about our roles, how they intertwine, but also what's in your lane, if you will, versus what's in my lane, what's in your coworker's lane within departments. So looking forward to diving deeper into all of that as we move along this year. And the 4th bullet that I did not add, my new hashtag, retain our team and maintain our culture. Blake, did you write that one down? Because that could go on social media. We are constantly focused on retention and culture, always, always. And so that's a highlight here. I added in some photos of my favorite meetings and engagement activities that we've done this year. There's some training pictures there too, but it's highlighted as a green, but it's something that we have to keep going here. This really positive and special culture we have going at Riverwoods Durham. This is why no one stands next to you, Ryan, just so you know. Questions. What questions do you have for John and I around team member satisfaction results, or maybe ideas that you have? Do you agree with what you're seeing? Maybe you just give me a yay or a nay or somewhere in between.
Anything up here surprise you? No? So we've been doing this, I've been here 3 years. We've been doing this survey for the 3 years that I've been here. It seems to carry more weight each year and get better each year. And one of my sayings is that we've asked, you responded, we listen, and now we have to respond. And that's where we are right now. We're telling you that we're listening, and now we have to go and do our responding going forward. But the whole reason for this is to make your lives better while here at Riverwoods. We must have done a great job, Natalie.
Round of applause for us. I just wanted to add that I'm going to keep in communication with you as I do through the roundup, through these meetings, through team meetings. I'll encourage directors and managers to have conversations, and as we have updates available, we'll make sure to share them with you all.
There we go.
Yes, Chip. Yes. That's a great, I would love help with that. But yeah, no, it's a great point. Let's bring that back.
Nat, can you just repeat the question for
Yes.
those at home?
So this one here, right? What we're doing that we should continue doing? Is that the one you were referencing, Chip? Yes. So the question was, there's so many things on this list, how will you prioritize? Because we know if we make everything a priority, then nothing's a priority. Isn't that true? Chip knows. We'll have to work together as a team to divide and conquer. That's my thought process. Yeah, and anyone who wants to help with this too, help us prioritize that, please. Particularly this one community piece. Incredible progress since we first opened Newfound in 2020, but I want to keep that up. And that's certainly an area of my growth too, as the executive director, learning more about all things Newfound related. The good thing I'm not a nurse is all I'm going to say.
This is not Natalie's job. This is everybody's job.
Yeah, yeah. It starts with me, though. I'll say that. Yes.
ETO's kind of in the same boat. It was under 70. You can understand when most companies do employee satisfaction surveys, they really look at stuff under 50. But our results came out so high, if we did that just 50 and below, would probably have 3 things here. And we know that we have more than 3 things to look at. So ETO also scored more than 50, but less than 70. And again, we'll have to, somebody else mentioned something about sick time versus ETO. It really, that doesn't matter because it'd all be the same in the end if we had sick time separated from ETO. But we will look at it and we will do a market analysis and say, what are other companies similar to us offering? And then we have to see where we stand in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in a lot of organizations, what you would get is 2 weeks vacation time and 1 week of sick time, totals 3 weeks. We have 3 weeks of ETO time. And that's to start, it grows as you get more tenure in the company.
Okay. Any other questions for John and I while we're on satisfaction results? Okay. Well, speaking of tenure, I'm getting to it here. It's just taking a lot of clicks. Thank you, John.
Yep. And thank you all for your participation.
Again, just a few community updates. Wrapping up here, we have new team members joining us. Welcome aboard. We have 1 year work anniversaries, 2 year work anniversaries, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, which means these folks also worked at the other Riverwoods campuses, because you're saying, well, where did they work when there was just woods here? Not the woods. So 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years. So congratulations to all those team members who have been with us. I love seeing these lists continue to grow. And now I'm going to invite Wendy up to give her update on the Funky Bunch. Woohoo! Ooh, yes. Like to stand on the stool?
I'm going to use the Natalie stool. Hi, folks. I'm Wendy Gilday. I work at the Independent Living Front Desk, and I'm going to speak about the Funky Bunch. The purpose of the Riverwoods Durham Funky Bunch is to create a comfortable, fun, energizing space for all Riverwoods team members. The Funky Bunch helps to build community by having fun together. I would like to ask any Funky Bunch members, past and present, to just stand up so we can recognize you and all your efforts that you do. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. We meet once a month on the third Tuesday at 3 p.m. in the bistro. And we strive to have a representative from each department. And so anyone is welcome to join us. You can come and just check out the meeting, see if you'd like to participate or not. You can talk to Allison Walsh in the back or me after this meeting today. The Funky Bunch has done a lot of fun activities just this year, and you may have been a part of that. We had our National Hot Cocoa Day. We had a bake sale fundraiser for the RWD Care Fund. We had a Super Bowl potluck and an annual cribbage tournament. Some of the other activities that we do, I want to thank Chip. If you could raise your hand, Chip, again. He does our monthly Durham Buzz.
Woo!
With some contributions from some other people like Rebecca, and we really appreciate that a lot. I also want to recognize someone who's not on the Funky Bunch, but I'm going to call her our adjunct member of the Funky Bunch, and that's Brenda Narsavage. Is Brenda here today? Brenda is the person that continually posts on Slack the birthdays and the work anniversaries. And I know she would love it. We used to have people reply, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Well, it's kind of redundant. All you have to do is just put a little birthday cake or a little thumbs up or something, because that lets the person know whose work anniversary it is or birthday that you've noticed that. And so if you don't see them in the course of the day, you can acknowledge them that way. So thanks to Brenda for that. One activity that's coming up tomorrow is our annual Shamrock Shakes event. So if you want to see Ryan there at the blender, come to the bistro tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's going to go from 2 until like 3 or so. And the shakes are free for us. Residents are going to be making a donation to the Employee Appreciation Fund, which is cool. We will have some Funky Bunch staff delivering over to Newfound if you can't get away from your post. Wear your green or your orange. And if you're old enough to remember why there's green and orange on St. Patrick's Day. Anyway, and join in on the fun. So thank you very much.
Oh, don't forget, you got to pick one. Yes.
Okay, we have a random drawing here. Drawing? Who made fun of me? Drawing. Okay, ready? 980 172. 980 172. If someone at the first table can check mine.
Could you imagine if it's yours?
980 172.
Okay.
Ooh.
Sorry to that person who left early. Missed out on the fun.
980 118.
Woo! Yay! Gonna go there. Thank you so much, Wendy. Something to look forward to tomorrow. Shamrock Shake on a Friday. The last update I have to share today is we have the scholarship opportunities again this year. This is our 3rd annual scholarship award ceremony that will be coming up. So an opportunity for those who are graduating from high school, but also those who are just furthering their education in any way. So be sure to look to the Rivernet and your email inbox for more information on scholarships available. That is entirely run by a single Riverwoods Durham resident here who's very passionate about continued education, just as all of us. So now I'll invite Wade up for his Rivernet update. Yeah. Oh, that's impressive. You don't need the stool.
I don't need the stool.
I'll
no.
stand over here.
Well, I could be as tall as Ryan if I stood on the stool. How tall are you, Ryan? 6'7". Wow.
Brag about it.
So as John mentioned, the Rivernet was one of the things that came up as needing improvement in the employee survey. So we're going to send out another survey on the 18th, Monday, to get your feedback on what exactly needs improvement. So we want to hear from you because obviously it's a tool for all of you. We want to make sure that it's valuable for all of you, so we do want your feedback. So please look out for that coming out Monday, and please answer the survey questions so that way we can make improvements to the system. Also, I want to mention that the Ops Hub, so our operations team, we now have an Ops Hub on RiverNet where they're going to be posting regularly about different things going on within the organization as a whole operationally. And we have an IT blog that's posted every month. So if you're interested in anything IT, like encryption, for example, that's our next one coming out. We are going to be posting those on a monthly basis. It's very exciting stuff. Thank you, Lauren. Next up, I have a few questions. Raise your hand if you've logged on to RiverNet. It's okay if you haven't.
No, it
Awesome.
isn't.
Now raise your hand if you actually use it on a reoccurring basis. All right, a few less. That's all right. Cool. So you can see here we've got some numbers. You all are doing very well. The majority of you have logged in, so thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you for continuing to use it. But down here, these numbers show our total reoccurring on a monthly basis, and you can see they're starting to slide off a little bit. We expected that. In October when we launched, there was a lot of excitement around it. Now it's just kind of part of the regular operations. But please continue to use it because we do post important things out there. So it's good for everyone to make it a habit to go out there on a weekly basis and check it out. But again, please answer the survey results because we want to make sure that the tool is useful for all of you because it is a tool for all of you. So that'll be coming out on the 18th. That's all I have.
Any questions on RiverNet for Wade while he's here?
Sure. Just come to me. Shoot me an email and I can help them out in the meantime. You can also submit an IT ticket and it will end up coming to me either way. Yep.
Okay, so the question was if you have a hard time, for those that we're recording too, so I'll make sure they hear the question. If you have a hard time logging into RiverNet, you can reach out to Wade.
Reach out via email.
Yes, via email to Wade, and also all of our new employees will be equipped to have logged in on their very first day with a new onboarding process.
One more thing I want to mention too. So I know we're sending out the survey, you're going to give us feedback, but if you have feedback in the meantime, say the survey goes out on Monday, you answer it, and then you're like, oh, I have more feedback. Reach out to Lauren. We meet monthly as a governance team. So all of the EAs, John, and a few others, we meet monthly to go through any feedback that we get, and then we talk about how we can incorporate that feedback into the site. So don't hesitate to bring it up, shoot it to Lauren, and then we can talk about it.
That's Lauren Kyle. Lauren Kyle. Give you a couple of Lauren.
Yes, Lauren Kyle.
Lauren Lennon does not want to be answering RiverNet questions.
No.
But if you stubbed your toe, you know where to find her. Good.
Any other questions? Cool. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I feel short next to you too. Okay, good. Now the fun begins. For those sitting in chairs, you will need to find a seat at a table with friends. Speaking of team collaboration, we're starting today on an area that was considered red. There are prizes, don't go running now. We are going to do a team building exercise today. And before we get started on the details of it, we're shuffling, we're finding chairs. Make sure you choose wisely. You'll want this prize. Feel free to pull a chair over if you need it. Let's squeeze in, invite your friends. It doesn't have to be with your own department. All right, so team collaboration was one of the big focus areas for us this year. It was an area where you felt like there was not enough team collaboration, effective collaboration, and whether that meant within your own department or maybe across departments. Maybe you didn't mean it specifically for your own department, but you said, I work in campus services and I'd really love to collaborate better with the nursing team, or I'd really love to collaborate better with the maintenance team. this is going to be a time for that. So before you jump in, we're going to talk about what the challenge is all about. I would like you to go around. Now is the time before we go through the details. Introduce yourself to the table, share your title, and maybe a top responsibility that you'd like to share with the group of what you do in your job. And if you find that there are people at your tables, which I can see, that aren't in your department, might you add how you come together and how these, I can see some faces, and how these departments connect. So take some time to do that now. You have 5 minutes, so short and sweet little 30-second debut, and go. Okay.